I'm going to talk to you about humanistic theory and client-centered therapy. Humanistic theory mainly focuses on the ability of the human being to act consciously and rationally to control their biological urges and to achieve their full potential skill, or we can say that potential ability. So the two psychologists Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers is considered one of the famous theorists in humanistic theory of psychology. So first we will talk about Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow introduced the hierarchy of need. He categorized human need into 5 categories and he formed a shape of a pyramid. So Maslow hierarchy is most often presented visually as a pyramid with the largest and most fundamental physiological need at the bottom and the most smallest advanced self-actualization need at the top. So we can check which are the categories he made, what are the needs he need to fulfill in each category. So the first or a basic need of a human being is considered as physiological need. So physiological need means need of survival. First need of each and every person considered as we need food, we need shelter, we need water. If you are unable to fulfill this basic physiological need, we are actually not moving to the next level. So as a human being, our first need to fulfill our basic need. We need to get water, we need to get shelter, we need to get food. These are the survival basic need. And if you are not surviving properly, we cannot go for the next step. So that the Maslow considers basic need of a human being as physiological need. And second hierarchy considers safety and security. We need to fulfill our physiological need. Safety and security means in all the sense, physically, mentally and emotionally, we need to feel that we are actually secure, and this is actually means if you are not feel fear and if you feel that you are safe and if you are unable to reduce anxiety, so all this physical, mental, psychological safety as considered as safety and security as our second hierarchy of need. So the next level is considered as love and belongingness. First we will talk about physiological need, second one is safety and security, third one love and belongingness. In this need said that after we complete our 2 stages, now we can move into the next stage, love and belongingness. Here they are actually talk about the relationship between family or classmates or peer group, all these things. So many human beings feel they are safe. The next step they are going to make a relationship. The relationship make anything, the family, classmates, peer, everything is considered as relationship. So we feel more secure as well when are making a relationship between others. So next stage considered as self-esteem. After we complete the 3rd stage, now we are moving on to this stage. So in this stage actually we feel proud to ourselves. We try to do many different works. So showing our potential. We will make proud ourselves. So if you are unable to complete these 3 needs, we feel self-esteem. So that's why Maslow say that after complete this stage only we can move into self-esteem. Then the top of the pyramid considered as self-actualization, which is a person decided to become everything what he or she need to become. But it is very difficult to move into this level because we need to complete all other needs before satisfying this level. And usually people, very less percentage of people used to reach into this self-actualization level. Next one I told Carl Rogers theory. So Carl Rogers was one of the prominent psychologists and who is actually give more important and who contribute more to the humanistic movement. So both Maslow and Carl Rogers focus on the individual choice. What Carl Rogers believed that each and every person are living in an environment which is always changing, and people used to react to the situation, how our experience, our emotion, or people who was changed according to that. Human being used to react to the situations. So what Roger believed that each and every individual are actually try to motivating move into self-actualization level. So while moving to self-actualization level, they learn many things. And from this experience, from these people, they make a concept of their self. That is called as self-concept. Through this person, if a person make a positive self-concept, they feel proud of themselves. Or we can say that they feel positive about themselves. But a person is making negative self-concept, they feel actually bad about themselves and they feel actually good for nothing. And he introduced one more concept, ideal self and real self. So what is mean by ideal self and real self? So the ideal self means the person thinks that in become like this person. Mean ideal self is actually we are thinking we need to become like this. But the real self is what we are actually. Usually ideal self and real self do not match properly. So what Carl Rogers says that if your ideal self and real self really not match, that is called as incongruous. And if your ideal self and real self are matching, that called is congruous. So these all are major point of humanistic theory. Next I talk about client-centered therapy, also known as person-centered therapy or Roger therapy, is a non-directive form of talking therapy developed by humanistic psychologist Carl Roger during the 1914 and 1950s. In this approach to counseling that required the client to take an active role in his or her treatment, with therapist being non-directive and supportive. Person-centered therapy uses a non-authoritative approach that allows client to talk more to a lead in discussions, so that in the process they will discover their own solution. The therapist acts as a companion, facilitator, listening without judgment and acknowledging the client experience without moving the conversation in another direction. The therapist is there to encourage and support the client and to guide the therapeutic process without interpreting or interfering with the client process of self-discovery.
Next, goals of client-centered therapy. The major goals of client-centered therapy are to empower the client, to work with client's trust and capacity to be right now. This permits the clients to be straightforward in the process without feeling decided by the therapist. To advance clients' mindfulness and confidence, to encourage the clients to change, to empower coinciding in the client's conduct and sentiments, and to assist individuals with acquiring the capacity to deal with their lives and become self-actualized. Now, coming to the key concepts of client-centered therapy. The humanistic influence on person-centered therapy. The humanistic approach has been a major influence on person-centered therapy. Person-centered therapist believes that clients are capable and trustworthy, and they focus on clients' ability to make changes for themselves. Next is actualization. People have the tendency to work towards actualization, which means self-actualization refers to the developing in a complete way. It occurs throughout the lifespan of an individual as the individual works towards self-realization and fulfillment, including autonomy and self-regulation. Next, conditions of worth. Conditions of worth influence the way in which a person's self-concept is shaped from important people in their life. Conditions of worth refer to judgmental and critical messages from important people that influence the way the individual acts and reacts to certain situations. Next, the fully functioning person. The fully functioning person is an individual who has ideal emotional health. The fully functioning person will be open to experiences, lives with a sense of meaning and purpose, and trust in self and others. One of the main goals of person-centered therapy is to work towards becoming fully functional. Next is phenomenological perspective. The phenomenological perspective refers to the unique perception by each individual of his or her own world. The individual experiences and perceives own world and reacts in an individual way. Person-centered therapy focuses on the individual's own experiences. Next, methods and techniques of client-centered therapy. There are many tips and suggestions for client-centered therapists to facilitate successful therapy sessions. First one, set clear boundaries. Boundaries are vital for any relationships, but they are extremely important for therapeutic relationships. Both the therapist and the client needs healthy boundaries to avoid any kind of inappropriate or ineffective relationship. The second one is remember that the client knows the best. This therapy is founded on the idea that clients know themselves and are the best source of knowledge and insight about their problems and potential solutions. So, do not lead the client or tell them what is wrong. Instead, let them tell you what is wrong. Next, don't make decisions for your clients. In client-centered therapy, it is not so helpful or appropriate to give advice to clients. Only the client should be able to make decisions for themselves, and they have full responsibility in that respect. The therapist's job is to help clients explore the outcomes of their decisions rather than guide them to any particular decisions. Next, act as a sounding board. Active listening is very essential, but it's also useful to reflect what the client is saying back to them. This can help the client clarify their own thoughts and understand their feelings better. Next, don't be judgmental. Another vital component of client-centered therapy is to refrain from judgments. Clients are often already struggling with their own feelings, guilt, low self-worth, and the belief that they are not simply good enough. So, let them know that you accept them for who they are and you will not reject them. Next, concentrate on what they are really saying. This is where active listening can be put to use. Sometimes a client will feel uncomfortable opening up at first, or they will have trouble seeing something just below the surface. In these situations, be sure to listen carefully and keep an open mind. Next, be genuine. The client-centered therapy must be genuine. If the client does not feel their therapist is authentic and genuine, the client will not trust you. In order for the client to share personal details about their own thoughts and feelings, they must feel safe and comfortable with you. Next, accept negative emotions. This is an important technique for any therapist. To help the client work through their issues and heal, it is vital to let them express their emotions, whether positive or negative. The client may even express anger, disappointment, or irritation with you at one point or the other. And next, how you speak can be more important than what you say. Then coming to the principles. Each and every individual in this world has own capability of controlling his or her behavior. Each individual has his own means of responsiveness. The idea of anxiety has its own way of molding one individual to more mature and positive side of their personality. Human beings are uniquely different from each other and from other biotic factors of the earth. Person-centered means offering coordinate care, support or treatment across multiple episodes or treatment, care and therapy over time and across services.
The client-centered therapy operates according to the three basic principles that reflect the attitudes of the therapist to the client. The therapist is convergent with the client. Convergence is also called the genuineness. Here, this means that unlike the psychodynamic therapist who generally maintains a blank screen and reveals little of their own personality in therapy, the Rogerian is known to allow the client to experience them as they really what they are. The therapist provides the client with unconditional positive regards. In unconditional positive regards means the next Rogerian core condition is this. Here, Roger believed that people to grow and fulfill their potential, it is important that they are valued as themselves. In short, the therapist needs an attitude of I will accept you as you are. The person-centered counselor is thus careful to always maintain a positive attitude to the client, even when distinguished by the client's actions. The therapist shows an empathetic understanding to the client. Here, the empathy is the ability to understand what the client is feeling. This refers to the therapist's ability to understand sensitively and accurately the client experience and feelings in the here and now. Coming to the process of client-centered therapy, we can say that it is a step-by-step process. In the beginning, the client talks about the external part of his or herself. Then the client describes feelings but do not recognize them, it's their feelings or their own emotions. Then the client talks about self as an object in terms of past experience. After that, clients accept his or her own feelings by themselves. Then the client expresses the feelings very freely. After all, the clients express feelings in present based on the past experience. Then the client trusts new experience and related to others openly. This is the simple way we can express the process of client-centered therapy. The frequency of the client-centered therapy. According to Carl Roger, there is no strict guidelines for this therapy. Usually, the therapist adhere to 1 hour session once per week. The time scheduling by the therapist may be adjusted according to the client's expressed needs. In this therapy, the termination phase usually occurs when he or she feels able to better cope with the life difficulties. Next, we talk about the strength and weakness of client-centered therapy. Coming to the point of strength, we can say that the client-centered therapy offers a perspective that is up-to-date and optimistic. Many aspects are relevant to multicultural perspectives. Clients have a positive experience in therapy when the focus is on them and their own problems. The client-centered therapy emphasizes on the client-therapist relationship. In this, the clients feel empowered from person-centered therapy as the responsibility is on them to make decisions. Research has substantiated the importance of client-therapist relationship. Clients feel they can express themselves more fully when they are being listened to and not judged. Coming to the point of weakness, we can say that the therapist to just be a supportive of clients with challenging them. Difficulty in therapists allowing clients to find their own way. Does not true on developmental, psychodynamic or behavioral therapy, thus limiting the overall understanding of clients. It could be an ineffective way to facilitate therapy if the therapist is non-directive and passive, simplistic and unrealistically optimistic. The client-centered therapy is listening and caring may not be enough. Next, he talks about the application of client-centered therapy in the views of Corey and Carl Rogers. The client-centered therapy is applied to working with individuals, groups, and families. It is successfully treating problems including anxiety disorders, alcoholism, psychosomatic problems, agoraphobia, interpersonal difficulties, depression, and personality disorder. It could also be used in counseling people with unwanted pregnancy, illness, or loss of loved one. In client-centered therapy, children are encouraged to express themselves openly while the therapist listens supportively and encourages the children to accept their feelings and gain greater self-awareness. Training and practice in therapy should probably precede training in the field of diagnosis. Significant implication for the field of survey, interviewing, and public opinion study. The approaches has also deep implication for the handling of social and group conflicts. The group therapy situations in the group may be in our hands. Application of this procedure to staff groups, to interracial groups, to group with personal problems and tension is underway. In the field of education, the client-centered approach is finding significant application. Coming to the point of limitation in client-centered therapy, we can see that the actual practice of client-centered therapy is challenging for therapists due to a lack of therapeutic techniques. The therapist's ability to consistently be non-judgmental, unconditionally accepting, and empathetic with their clients. Limited understanding on clients' nonverbal indications. Now, let us talk about the social work principles applied to the client-centered therapy. First one, we can say that the non-judgmental attitude. Mostly identified empathy, compassion, and unconditional positive regards as some of the qualities of characteristics that facilitate therapeutic use of self by the therapist. Unconditional positive regards refers to the acceptance of other person as he or she is, as a valuable and dignified individual, irrespective of disagreement with the person's perspectives and behavior. The second one, acceptance. The process of carefully listening to the client, accepting the client for who or she is, no matter how confused or antisocial that might be at the moment of skillfully reflecting back the client's feelings. The acceptance and the reflection of feelings will create a level of safety for deeper exploration and a mirror in which to further understand and reflect on the client's own experience. Third one, individualization. As a social worker, every client is unique for us. As we know that the client is a person with a problem in his or her life. He or she is a person with a particular religious beliefs, economic position, social status, and a particular caste. The characteristics is also necessary a part of collaborative relationship. These are the topics we discuss in the point of the client's humanistic theories and client-centered therapy. Coming to the point of conclusion, we can see that the person-centered approach has been developed by Carl Rogers, who took a humanistic approach in therapy. Humanistic psychology views people as capable of autonomous with the ability to resolve their difficulties, realize their potential, and change their lives in positive ways. Overall, person-centered therapy is a non-directive, optimistic therapy that focuses on the client's ability to make changes in his or her life and the client's strive for self-actualization. Thank you.